Good evening, members of Spiritual Encrypted Encounters. I'm your host, Brother Abe CS. For those who follow on the stream, those who follow on YouTube, those who follow on Facebook, and for those who follow on TikTok. How's everybody doing this evening? Today is 34 year of 34 years have gone by since the Battle of Medina Ridge, in which I was involved in when I was in the United States Army. It's a 19 kilo. Um, and I'm making this in honor of all my brother in arms that served with me. I'm making this video. I try to reach out to one of my brother in arms, but I couldn't get a hold of him, since my Instagram account had gotten hacked. I couldn't reach out to him, but I'm following him right now. Maybe he'll respond to me, but he was in my tank as a loader. So today, this evening, in behalf of 135 Armor, I was in Delta 135 Armor, 7 Corps. I was stationed off of Erlangen, Germany. I'm making this video here for my brother in arms. That some are here still amongst the living, and some are not here amongst the living. They've crossed over. So uh, I'm just making this video here tonight. I do got some pictures I want to share of the times that I was out there. I might get in depth. Speaking of the battle I was in, which was the Battle of Medina Ridge, we fought the Medina Republican Guard, brothers and sisters. How you doing, Sister Abigail? In saying that, right now I got the shirt on here. It says Abrams Tanks on it. I got this from my buddy Corey Stevenson, Redcon 1. I got picture in the back for those who are on my friends list. I took a picture and I placed a picture on Facebook of what's on my back, which is a picture of a tank. So here we go. The Battle of Medina Ridge has been 34 years. Every year that around the December time frame, because it was on Christmas Day, brothers and sisters, we had gotten a call like a month before, I believe, that to be ready because we're gonna get deployed to go to combat and stuff like that. And they was trying to keep us preoccupied. They're trying to keep us busy. So I remember getting deployed and on Christmas Day back in 1990, Christmas Day. We got placed in a cargo airplane where we were on nets, like cargo nets, sitting down with all our gear, like elbow to elbow. When we're up there, when we flew to Saudi Arabia, the walls were moving and everything. We were in a cargo airplane, and that's how we traveled to over there. In which when we landed there, it was hot, very hot. How you doing, brother Harpin? It was very hot. We got off the cargo plane, and we're ducking. I'm ducking because I feel heat. I'm thinking it's the heat coming off the jets, right, of the cargo plane, but it's not. The heat that I'm feeling is the heat from there, like super hot. So we went from an environment of which I was in Erlangen, Germany, from a cold environment because it was freezing over there to a hot environment. When I left, I think there was ice in Germany, if I remember correctly. And then went to a cold environment, a hot environment, but then in the desert, for those who know, it gets real cold, even at times below zero, in which you have to have extreme wet weather gear with you on because it gets that cold at nighttime. One of the main things, brothers and sisters, of that environment that's very important is you got to stay, how should I say, hydrated, which means drink plenty of water during the day and at the nighttime. Because if you don't drink plenty of water during the day or nighttime, you will get dehydrated. How you doing, Sister Ever? So I'm just gonna talk a little bit, and then we'll go to the pictures and maybe the stories. But yeah, you got to drink plenty of water. Uh, so and when you're in a different country, you got to get used to the environment. You have to get climatized, right? So we had to get used to the heat. I mean, even though it came from an area in the Rio Grande Valley where it's hot, well, out there it's hotter, in which you got to drink plenty of water, like I said, or you'll hydrate. Uh, you might have stomach cramps if you don't drink water. You're a part of some of the symptoms of dehydration is, for example, uh, stomach cramps, uh, sweaty palm hands, your eyes being dilated a certain way, uh, thirsty, chapped lips, chapped skin, in which it's very important to drink water. And as a soldier, if we don't take care of our bodies and we dehydrate, then they can take rank away from us because we're supposed to be ready to go, right? So since we're part of the government at the time, if something happens in nature, then they can blame us for even try to give us an Article 15 for not taking care of ourselves, right? So it's very important to hydrate yourself, and that's just not being an environment like Saudi Arabia, or what was in Kuwait, right? It's anywhere, even here in the United States. You gotta keep hydrated. How you doing, Sister Monet? So this is a special for today. After this video or this live, we'll do a live with cousin Jesse around 11 o'clock. I just wanted to talk about this. I was thinking about doing it earlier, but I said I'm just gonna go with it. So here I am. Uh, the things that when we got there is we was waiting for equipment uh, to load up, so I can go to the time when we left that area. Uh, in which I did see something happen when we loaded up our tanks on the railhead. We took them to Bremerhaven in Erlangen, Germany, where we downloaded the tanks and we uploaded them on the naval ships, tied them down and everything. Uh, so we loaded up our equipment in the ships because the naval ships were taking the equipment across the ocean to the destination that where we're going to pick up the tanks. One of the things that I noticed, this is before even going to combat, when we got to Bremerhaven to download the tanks, I noticed that there was a guy on top of a Bradley, which are scouts, right? And I seen, like I said, it was cold. I seen a current of electricity. The wires in Germany on top, there are hot wires, live wires that even the birds don't go near them because they get electrocuted. So I seen uh, a current of electricity jump on one wire to the other, and it's traveling real fast. And there's a soldier standing on top of the Bradley, and he's only got his pile cap on. When you're in the railhead, you're supposed to have your Kevlar on. He didn't have his Kevlar on, and it went and it hit him on top of the head, and he fell off the Bradley. Remember, I hit the train thing to stop, so the train conductor could stop the train. How you doing, Walking with Bear? So they stopped the train, and we got off, and I could smell like burnt hair. You smell not just burnt hair, but skin. So we ran, and I thought that the train had ran over him, because you couldn't see his head, but he had fallen off the. That's a big drop from being on top of the railheads, on top of the tank of the Bradley. That's a good 15-foot drop, probably around 15 feet, 14 feet. He fell down. So we went over there and I started checking him out. I checked for a pulse. He had a pulse. I checked if his chest. He was breathing. He was still breathing. I could feel air coming out of his nostrils, and I was asking him if he's okay. Um, the only thing he was doing, he was just moving crazy, like, and I'm asking him he's okay. So I see where the entry was on top of his head because his hair was up in a certain way where the bolt of electricity went through the top of his head. Then started following to see where the exit wound or the exit uh, where it exited out, right? So I went up to his chest. I didn't see nothing there. The only thing I found in his chest was the dog tags had a piece of rubber, and the rubber was melted on his chest, right? So I kept on looking. For those that didn't know, for those that are truly boots in the ground, like I was, um, this is for just in case you die in combat. You're supposed to have one of your dog tags on your boot, under I believe it was our left boot where we kept the dog tag on the left boot, right? So the current electricity, the where he exited out was where the boot was, where that other dog tag was on the boot. He exited out through his leg. So I remember the ambulance got there. So me and one of my soldiers, or we were soldiers together, David Gabi, we and other soldiers came. We were picking them up. We picked them up as we were taking them to the ambulance. He kept on sliding out of our hands, Uh, so they took him, they took him, and that was kind of like one of the first moments I've seen because somebody gets seriously injured. But in this case, I remember his name, brother and sisters. His name was PFC Mosaic. When you win something like that, you're never gonna forget, right? Of course, every soldier has a name tag. His name tag was Mosaic. It was a PFC. I guess he was a scout. He was on the Bradleys. So that's what his name was, PFC Mosaic. Uh, so we downloaded the tanks and all that. Uh, we did our detail, which our detail was to go all the way across Germany to Bremerhaven, upload the tanks, and then we go back to Erlangen. We went back to Erlangen, and within the week, everybody heard what happened. Within that week, they recognized me and brother David Gabi, because I'm brother in arms. What we did, but I guess what happened, the soldier, uh, that bolt of electricity that went through his body, it burned every bone in his body, brothers and sisters. That they had him in like on a vegetable machine, but every bone in his body was burnt. So it was just like flesh. There was no bone because the volt of electricity was that strong that it burned every bone in his body. So that was like the first casualty I've seen. The other casualty happened there in Bremerhaven also, brothers and sisters. Well, not in Bremerhaven, it happened later on, but that's the first time I witnessed somebody lose their lives in other brother Gilbert lose their lives in combat. But it wasn't even a combat environment, but When you're in the military and you're being deployed like that to a war zone, he literally died, like, not in combat, but in a combat, what should I say, time frame, because we were going to go to combat. So he passed away from that accident, in which he could have been, if he would have been wearing his Kevlar, that would have prevented him to be electrocuted like that. So, I won the stats, and then from then, like I said, we got deployed on the cargo airplane, landed in Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, right? We landed in Kuwait, and it was hot as hell. They had us in the I think it was called the Adobe Towers. I think that area where the Adobe Towers kept us, later on, it got bombed. But I was in those Adobe Towers. That's where we stayed. It's called the Adobe Towers, where we were waiting for our equipment to arrive onto the port. Yeah, brother. The Those wires in Germany are so hot that's why the trains in Germany go over 100 miles an hour on the train tracks. They fly, man. They go over 100 miles an hour, like, because they're not in the ground. The wires are live, so they can go over 100 miles an hour real fast. The train conductor can, you know. Um, so now we get there, and we were there for about a week or two at this towers, and they said that our equipment got there. So, since I was part of the detail, I had to go download the tanks. So we downloaded the tanks, and we had downloaded the tanks, and I'm waiting for them to tell us, to make a little convoy to take the tanks. And on top of the naval ship, I see this female. Is an African American soldier. She's on top of the edge of the naval ship, right? And she's taking pictures with M16s on both of her arms. She's got like a lot of M16s, and I guess a gust of wind comes and hits her off the naval ship, and I see her drop into the bay with all the weapons in her arms, in which she didn't make it. She passed away at the port out there in Kuwait City. So that was like the second, uh, I guess, accident that I've seen where somebody loses their life. You know, just before even going to combat, right? Let me see some of the comments here. So that's two that I've seen lose their lives. So when I'm seeing these things happening around me, that's telling me be alert at all times. Don't be messing around. Take this seriously because it's a matter of life or death. Any movement that you make, it's a matter of life or death. You can't be too relaxed. You have to be alert at all times, right? Some of the things that can cause for somebody not to react to a certain situation is because they might not have gotten enough sleep, right? Or they're not paying attention. You have to be alert at all times, like the shirt says. This is from brother Corey Stevenson. The shirt says Redcon One. Let's see. Uh, it says Redcon One right here. That's his name brand logo. But Redcon One in the military means that you're ready to go. You're ready for action. Redcon One means you're locked and loaded, right? That's what Redcon One means, that you're locked and loaded, ready for action. So After a while, they say, okay, we're going to move you to a different location where you're going to go to Alpha Alpha. Man, I don't know, but you just stick to the what one is. But there's something else that happened to me when I was out there. We're in Alpha Alpha. Uh, I'm trying to stick to the narrative of just talking about the Battle of Medina Ridge, but there's other things that happened to me besides the Battle of Medina Ridge. Uh, when I was in Germany, I was 40-0 in Bandico fights. I was undefeated. So I remember when they told me that to keep my eyes open because they were going to get me, which means that somebody is going to try to do something to me while I'm out there in the combat environment. So I'm not trusting anybody, right? I'm not trusting anybody, and I'm sleeping on my tank. Well, it's cold as hell at nighttime. I'm sleeping on the tank. I'm not. They got tent set up where they got a little heater in there and stuff, and there are people trying to get me to go sleep in this tent, and I'm not trusting nobody. Uh, Even though somebody does, they already said that for me to keep eyes behind my back because if not, something bad was going to happen to me. So that's a threat, right? So I remember there was two NCOs, African American, came to the tank, telling me that they had a cot for me set up in the tent, that it's nice and warm in there. So come on, everything's gonna be okay. They're trying to talk to me like they're my buddies, and that's weird to me because I was in 40 Bendigo fights, which means I'm Hispanic and I fought 40 African American people. I was undefeated in those fights. This happened in Germany. Uh, so I go and something within myself, my gut instinct, I always follow your spiritual senses, right? So my spiritual senses is telling me, don't trust this guys. This ain't right. All the way from getting off the tank, walking to that tent, and going to set up on the cot. As I'm on the cot, they walk out, and I still don't feel right. I have that my stomach is a certain way, and my spirit is telling me something ain't right. So I get my shelter half, and I put it on the cot, hanging from the sides. We have a little green foam inside the what is it, duffel bag. So I grab that foam and I put it underneath the cot. I grab my sleeping bag and I put it on top of the cot, and I grab all my clothes and dirty laundry that I had and put it inside the sleeping bag. I put in the sleeping bag and made it seem like my head is towards where the sleeping bag opens. Like I said, I didn't trust nobody. My instincts were just going crazy. So I sleep underneath the cot where the foam is, even though there's scorpions and vipers and only knows what kind of other critters. I'm just laying down like this with all my gear on underneath the underneath the cot. I'm there because, and even though I was tired, I was underneath there, and the heat was making me feel comfortable. So as I'm laying there, I just hear like somebody running inside the tent. You hear somebody running, and I just hear sa 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 sa. And I'm underneath the cot, and I'm seeing bayonets. We're all issued a bayonet, right? So I'm seeing bayonets going through my sleeping bag into the through the cot, and this people run out. I look from underneath, and it's the same guys that told me to go lay down there. So basically, they tried to take me out. Word daddy. How you doing, William? So basically, they tried to take me out, right? That evening, but they failed because I how should I say, I follow my spiritual instinct. Word daddy. William Roberto, that sounds like my brother. That's his name. That's his name. My brother in arms that served with me. Uh, his name is War Daddy. So the following day, what I have is a cot that's ripped up, where they stabbed it with the hell out of it with a bayonet. I got a sleeping bag that's full of holes, and I'm trying to show my company commander what would happen. That they try to take me out. My own people try to take me out in a combat environment. So this guy's a higher rank than me. I'm just a PFC at the time, and they're like, "Oh, take his weapon away from him. He's a dangerous person." Blah blah blah. So the company commander is listening to these guys, right? The same guys that try to take me out, and then he says, that I need to give up my personal weapon. You know, so I need to give my personal weapon to him. He said, if you don't, they said, we're in a combat environment. You have to follow my orders. If you don't tell me, if you don't follow my block of instructions, then since we're in a combat environment, I can kill you. That's what he told me. And I said, what'd you say? I said, if you don't follow my direct orders, that he can kill me since we're in a war zone, right? So these guys are laughing. The guys that try to take me out are laughing. I said, okay, sir. So I pull out my weapon. My weapon's already on fire. It's got the magazine already in there. I always kept it ready. Uh, and I pull out my weapon out of my holster. And I said, so after everything I showed you, sir, the sleeping bag full of holes, a cot full of holes, and these guys are the ones that try to take me out. You're believing them? I said, just follow my orders. Okay. So I pointed the gun at him. It was not 9 mil. I'll show you the picture later on. I'm gonna show you some pictures. I had the 9 mil on me, and I pointed at it to him. I said, "Sir, I just want to know one thing. Since you said that we're in a combat environment and you can kill me, I just want to know who's gonna be the first one to die today." So I started pointing the gun at him because he was my company commander and he was taking sides with the enemy. That's where it becomes like spiritual warfare, right? So they have to shoot sides, spiritual warfare, nationality or whatever, racism. I don't know what the case was, but they tried to take me out. So I said, I just want to know who's going to be the first one to die. And I was waiting to see who was going to make a move so I can, take care of business. And the company commander just looked at those guys and he said, stay away from him, leave him alone. And I said, sir, if they get 2 yards near me from the rest of the time I'm here, I'm going to take them out. I'm just letting you know because of what they tried to do to me. So I suggest they stay many feet away from me because if they get anywhere close to me, they're dead. So he didn't take my weapon. I kept my weapon, and that was that. The supply sergeant gave me a new cot. Well, I wasn't going to eat the cot anymore, but he gave me a new sleeping bag because it was full of holes. So I guess I couldn't submit that as evidence since I'm in a combat environment. I couldn't go make a complaint about it to anybody because it happened within the company. So that's something that I never got to bring to nobody, nobody's attention. So imagine this: I'm in a combat environment. I've done seen people lose their lives. They try to take my life. My own peoples try to take my life, and I still have to fight the other enemy, which is the battle I was in, the Battle of Medina Ridge, which is the Medina Republican Guard. I'm gonna continue to talk, but let me look at the comments. Let me catch up with the comments. See what everybody's saying here. How you doing, Sig 122? So it's been 34 years, and I can talk about it now because it's in the past. I have nothing to hide from anybody. People can put me on a lie detector, and it's going to be, there's the truth of what I'm speaking about. What are you supposed to do when you still got to face the enemy? Imagine this: you don't have to worry about the enemy you're gonna face, but you have to also worry about the enemy within your camp. So it's one of those locations where I really didn't get hardly any sleep because I was always had my guards up because I didn't know whether it was the enemy I was gonna face or the enemy within that was trying to backstab me. You could say because that's what they were literally trying to do. I understand. I would have more respect for them. They're trying to handle a situation with me man to man, right? Mano a mano, whatever, however they want to handle it. But they couldn't. I mean, I was already 40-0 against them, but they try to do me dirty. So here we go. Let me continue. So I'm still not trusting anybody. Hardly getting any sleep. So it's kind of like I have one eye open at all times because I got to watch out for the idiots, that are within my camp, that are targeting me, which I got in several other fights because of these people that were targeting me. Badingo fights, Badingo people, you could say, right? I got in several other fights out there that I overcame the enemy within my company, right? But it's not stopping me from doing my job as a tanker. Yeah, it's spiritual warfare, but there was a lot of division back then. When people say that there's no racism in the military, that's bullshit. I'll be honest with you. If even the colonels, I'll tell the colonels right now, or whoever's in charge of the president of the United States, Donald Trump. If you tell me there's no racism in the army, I say you're full of shit. If you try to tell me that, you're full of shit. Look what you went through your campaign, through a lot of division, of racism, of religion. So yeah, bullshit. I'll say it like that straight up. It hasn't changed one bit over the freaking years. I mean, frick. We went from being a hardcore army to a freaking rainbow army, for God's sake. Uh, Not just that, they took men away from the front lines and guess put women in there. Not saying that women can do the job, but yeah, I'm just talking about the Battle of Medina Ridge. There was no women in the front lines in tanks when I was there, so it was all men that operated, the handle the Medina Republican Guard. So that's what it is about today is the Battle of Medina Ridge. And I'm sorry if I misspoken of the other people that served after me because much respect to them because even though they're men and women, they're still placing their life on the line. I'm just speaking in behalf because I've run into a lot of people, but that's not what this is about. I'm going to continue to talk on about the Battle of Medina Ridge, brothers and sisters. Somebody says, I ran into a blank party justice all the time. It's terrible, but it happens a lot. Yeah. So I'm going to continue on. I remember when we traveled across the desert to go to our destination. We're doing a lot of maneuvers. We're practicing how we were going to attack offensively because we're going on the offensive. We're going to go on the offensive against Medina Republican Guard, but we had to travel. I think it was like 2 days, almost 3 days. We traveled across the desert. I think 2 days. All I know is like I hardly had any sleep. I was a driver, so you know it's like I was so tired that I fell asleep behind the while driving the tank. Uh, but that was my job. I didn't want to let my crew down. I was a driver. We had a loader. We was Brother Daniel was a loader. We had a gun. My gunner was named. He was a. I think he got promoted out there. He became Sergeant Pont, and he was a corporal, uh, Pont. And then I was on a lieutenant's tank. Our tank was Delta 3-1, and I was my lieutenant. His I'm just gonna say his last name Shelton. So I was on that crew, which was Delta 3-1. Let me read some of the comments here. So, and imagine that when it comes up to bravery, some people are gonna go out and beyond their their bravery, and there's some people when it comes down to a matter of life or death situation that they're gonna fail to do their job. They're not gonna do the job that's supposed to be they're supposed to do. Which something happened like that out there where people, I guess, got too scared or terrified that they didn't want to do their job. In order for a tank to run, you need a four-man crew. So you got a driver, a loader, a gunner, and a tank commander. In order for that, if one person either fails to do their job or gets taken out, then somebody else got to do two jobs, right? So you got to be able to know how to do the other job and do your job at the same time. But the, before we even went out there in Tent City, I forgot to speak about this. Tent City is where we're waiting to get to be called to go across the desert, right? I remember this evening. I'm going to share the story uh, about this evening, and I want to say thank you to everybody that's joining here live to me. I've been having a, how should I say, I've been very heavy hearted, brothers and sisters. Every time this day comes, the month, it's just very heavy on me because I just have a lot of, I guess you could say, memories or what people want to call flashbacks, right? Of that time, like if I'm still there. So I just want to say thank you to those that are tuning in here tonight on Spiritual Encrypted Encounters, uh, that are here listening to my story of what I've witnessed, what I encountered out there. I'm just sharing my experiences. And to those that came up against me, I never had nothing against y'all. The enemy within, I never had nothing against y'all, man. Y'all just didn't understand me. Where I come from, I was raised a certain way. The certain way I was raised was to never give up. So every time you brought somebody to against me and I defeated them, is because that's how I was raised. Is to never give up, which will make me a warrior. So it's not that I had nothing against y'all, your nationality, any kind of shape or way. For God's sake, we're out there in the same uniform for the same cause, which was to liberate Kuwait and fight the enemy, right? So it was never about racism for me, and till this day, it's not about racism for me. Yeah, it's just if that's what how you got raised to think the life is about racism, well, and you focus on that, and I understand, when it comes out to African Americans, right? Slavery, crossing the ocean, and all that. Well, with the Hispanics, it's no different. I mean, uh, I've worked in the fields. I worked in the cotton fields when I was growing up. Uh, we had it hard, but that didn't stop me from living life. You know, I'm just here to say, if there's anybody here, I'm a brother in arms that came up against me in a negative way. I never had nothing against nobody, and I still don't. You know, it's just I just feel sad for the people that others have control over them, making them do their dirty work. The question is, how come those individuals that was put in these guys to come up against me, how come they didn't come and handle the situation? All right, if they're as bad as it said they were, you know, me, I'm the type of guy, I don't want to mess around with the pawns. Give me the head of the snake, and I'll show the head of the snake what well, at the time was PFCCS. So RCS is all about. Uh, but anyways, let me get back on track. Uh, I was in Tent City. That's what we called it. We were waiting to get the call to go across the desert. Yes. So I'm asleep, right? And all I hear is metal to metal, boom, metal to metal, banging, king, 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 metal to metal. That stands for chemical attack. So I'm hearing metal, metal, and then I start hearing honking of horns. Oh, oh, oh. That's a sign that chemical attack. So I put on my gear, my protective mask. I already have my mop gear on, and I run towards the tank. I run towards the tank, and I could hear the alarms going off. We got NBC alarms every fourth tank, every tank, and each platoon has a NBC alarm, and all of them are going off. Beep 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 beep. You know, you hear that like it's a sound like this. Is it a woo, 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 woo? That's the way the sound of the alarm goes off. That's how it sounds like. Woo, 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 woo. So that's going off, and as I try to climb the tank, I slide off the tank. Sliding on something very slimy, right? So I'm looking at the slime, and I pull out, I open up my protective mask. I have the mask on, and I pull out a M256 kit, in which it's a it's a test kit for chemical agents, you know, and it'll let you know what kind of chemical agent it is. So I did the test on the goo that was on my tank, and as I popped the ampule and moved it away, it said that the chemical that was on our tank was a blister. A blood agent. A blood agent in chemical warfare. Uh, what that does, it goes direct to your blood, through your blood, and it can cause blood clots, right? And coagulation, in which the blood clots can transfer throughout your body to hit your main organs, your heart, your brain, and kill you. So that's what the hit us was with a blood agent. It was a scud that passed over us that dropped the chemical agent. So as I'm there, and I did two M256 kits, my company commander comes because they had been taking some pills where you're supposed to take them every day, and that if we got hit by a chemical agent, that it was going to protect us. I took it one time, and that pill get gave me the diarrhea, a fever, and I had red dots all over my face and my body. One time that I took it, we're supposed to take it every day. I only took it one time. So that day that I was doing the M256 kit, I hadn't taken it. So they tell me I need to take my mask off, that the pills that I've been taking, that it should protect me. But they didn't know I wasn't taking the pills, so they forced me to take off my protective mask. You know, so I took it off, and it smelled real nasty. And I went back to the tank, to the tent, and I decontaminated myself with an alcohol pad, but I got exposed to a blood agent. So before we even deployed across the desert, they took us to a decontamination site where our equipment is getting decontaminated. We're out there butt naked in the middle of the sun. They're not giving us no water or anything. We're going through stations of hot soap and water, scrubbing ourselves because we're exposed to that chemical, the blood agent. So we did that all day. So by the time we finished that, you know, our tanks got decontaminated. We supposedly got decontaminated, and they gave us new BDUs and everything, like new equipment. Right? They give us new equipment to wear, new mob gear and everything. That's when we deployed across the desert. That trip was very strenuous as a driver. Uh, has anybody ever been awake, like 100% awake, like where the 100% means that the whole crew has to be awake, the whole crew awake for about 2 days? It's not. It's very very tiring, man. Very tiring. That's all I can tell you. That you have to stay awake regardless. Sometimes if you're awake, sometimes your brain can shut down on you because your brain needs to get rest, right? So I was seeing people dropping on the ground where they're awake and they would just pass out because the brain needs to rest. You know. We got Guadalupe. What's up, primo? Let me see any comments before I continue, brothers and sisters. Got Shea Viking. Oh, I will see a lot of that. A lot of where favoritism. I'll just say favoritism. Like if the first sergeant was white, he would be in favor of the white. If the first sergeant was black, he'll be in favor. I mean, African American, he'll be in favor of the African American. If the first sergeant was Puerto Rican, he was in favor of the African American because Puerto Ricans, a lot of Puerto Ricans believe that they're black or African American, like they come from the islands. Uh, but if there was a Hispanic first sergeant, then he'll be in favor of the Hispanics, which those in what does it mean? Favoritism is that those people will get promoted first. They will take priority of going to the schools and stuff like that. They will send the what I call a raza or their national. They will place their nationality first, and which it shouldn't be that way. It should be everybody, everybody. And I think that's what I would see. But let me go back to the. I do got pictures that I want to share with y'all. Let me see at the comments here. You're welcome, Amy Creel. Yeah, well, I'm gonna get to that. I'm trying to get to that point. Just as I'm speaking, I'm remembering a lot of things. Yeah, that's what they did. They pissed us off, man. I'm reading the comments, y'all. And I'm doing this because I feel that I have to honor my brother in arms, Iron Knights. Uh, some are still here, some are not amongst me. So I got to honor all my brother in arms. Yeah, sleep deprivation is very exhausting during combat, especially during a combat environment. Oh yeah, we got brother exuberance here. So I'm trying to remember more things. The burning oil wells. I was there. We were at the burning oil wells where when we're moving. We got stuck at the burning oil wells, and we had to post up there. It was so bad. There was so much smoke in the air, brother and sisters. That so much dark smoke from the burning oil wells that if we placed our shelter half over the tank, when we wake up in the morning, there'll be oil on it, like nothing but black oil on the tank, oil on the tarp, oil over clothes. Uh, you couldn't even see with your naked eye because the burning oil was like a smoke screen in the sky. So there was a moon or anything like that, you couldn't see it because of the burning oil wells. So it was like the only way you could see, like you couldn't even see your hand like this. The only way you could see something if you used night vision goggles. That's the only way you could see. I would sleep with my protective mask on at nighttime. The reason I would sleep with my protective mask on is to get fresh air. That's the only way you can get fresh air is with a protective mask on. If you wouldn't sleep with a protective mask on, then the only thing that you were inhaling was the oil, the burning smell, and what was falling from the sky. And only God knows if there was chemicals in that burning oil, in which it could be a tactic. If they dropped a couple of barrels of chemicals in there, that there could have been chemicals in that oil, in which a lot of people have passed away. Right? Different tactics. That's one of the things was those burning oil wells where we were there. I was in the front lines, so we're the first ones that are going to cross the desert to face the enemy. So that was our duty. 135 armor, and our job, or how should I say, our mission was to face the Medina Republican Guard, which was Saddam Hussein's elite elite Republican Guard, which was his best Republican Guard. So we're already there. We get to the destination. We run into an obstacle. The obstacle that we ran into is a giant minefield. A giant. I'm talking about giant minefield. Uh, Nothing but minefields everywhere. Like they took some time building this minefield. So where in order to get to the enemy, we have to call the engineers, and they cleared up a path for us. Blew up and made a path for us so the tankers would cross over to the other side of the minefield. So that location was called, I believe, Anaconda. We passed that location because the engineers cleared up the minefield. Our job was to make sure that nobody was going to shoot at the engineers. If we saw any kind of T-72s or anything, then we were going to destroy the tanks. But the engineers cleared the path for us, in which we were able to cross over. You're welcome, brother Mike. So we get across the minefield, and we're doing still practicing the maneuvers. The game plan was we're going to have a wedge, which is like a line, and two flanks that are going to come in. They're gonna we got a line formation and a wedge, like a wedge that the people that go around, we're gonna close up. They're gonna come, and when we face them at the Medina Republican Guard, they're gonna come around after we're already battled them. They're gonna come and try to get it from the sides, right? That was a cane like, which was a wedge. Um, that day of the battle, it was early in the morning. Uh, Man, that there was a lot of things that happened there. They had a record of rain that's never happened in the region. Uh, the day before we went to combat, seen a chaplain, which is non-denominational, was praying to some of the soldiers. You got up and some of you took off, and I see a lot of soldiers there. They just like their faces look like they're scared because we have found out that we're going to be the first ones to go, right? Which I more or less knew that was going to happen, because they're not going to tell you anything. They don't want to tell you anything because they don't want people to get scared or worry, right? But that day, the night before, they told us we're going to be the first to go and fight, right? I guess some Medina Republican Guard, and even though we're doing maneuvers, I already knew as we're doing maneuvers for a reason like this. It'll take a genius to figure it out, right? That something is up in the air. Somebody's not telling you something. So these guys that were there, they were like talking about they didn't want to die and all these things. And I told them, look, I know a way that we all can make it back. That you don't have to worry about nothing because you just got to do something. And they asked me, well, what do we got to do? I said, well, as far as I know, throughout history, so long you place the Heavenly Father first, that whoever places the Heavenly Father first is normally victorious in a combat environment. There were some people that didn't believe in God. I guess there were some people that were like Wiccan, and some people that believed other things, right? Or some that didn't believe in anything. That's what I mean. And then they're saying they don't believe in this and that, right? So well, you're the ones that have the worry. You're saying that you don't want to die. You're saying that you want to go back to your family and stuff like that. Why not just give it a shot? I'll lead the prayer. You don't have to say nothing. Let me lead the prayer, but at least acknowledge the prayer. So we all hold hands and stuff, and I prayed. Let the prayer for everybody, and when it's heartfelt and it is meant through true faith, and it's heartfelt. People felt different after that prayer. They felt uh, different. That everybody's ready to do whatever they got to do. Right. I remember my platoon sergeant came to me that evening, and I said, "I heard that you were praying for people out here." And I said, "Yes, I prayed for them." And he's looking at me and he's like, "You're not afraid? So you're not afraid to die?" I mean, they had already tried to take me out there. I was like, "Look, if it's my time to go from this world, then it's my time." It's like, but if it's not my time and I prayed to the Heavenly Father is going to look out for me. Then he told me that he didn't want to die, and he wanted to go back to his family and stuff like that. So we prayed together for us to be victorious in the combat environment, and he was high rank, he was already well experienced, he was my platoon sergeant. So no, we prayed, even though some things that happened between me and him, when you're in a combat environment, it's any machoism or anything that might have happened, that stays behind because you're fighting for your life, right? So we prayed, we prayed together as combat brothers. We prayed with all hands, and we prayed, and it didn't matter what nationality we were. We prayed together, right? So following day, that's when we're doing some maneuvers. We stop, and it's real, like a lot of clouds in the sky. Um, we had traveled a certain location where they were dropping chemicals on us from the sky. They were trying to hit us with chemical agents, but we avoided all that, and we left out all that behind, and we just kept on going forward. So we stopped, and we started servicing our tanks because the tanks, the V packs, if they got too much sand in the V packs, like a filter, the tanks can only go so fast. So we had to clean up the V packs. So while we're doing that, servicing the tank, we had to service the tanks just about every 20 to 30 minutes. We're doing that, and some people are doing a little bit of personal hygiene and stuff like that. It was like I don't know, it was an underground obstacle or possibly artillery that landed behind us, like maybe 20 to 30 feet behind us, a big old line, and you can see a big old wall of white powder. I believe it was a underground obstacle that might have blew up. I just see nothing but white powder, so it could have been anthrax. I put on my mask real quick, grabbed my Kevlar, started banging it on the tank so people could know that it's a chemical agent. And I said, gas, gas, gas. I jumped in my driver's hole, closed the hatch. My crew did the same thing. We closed the hatch, and we have a overpressurized system, which it sucks everything out of the tank. So we that's how we went to combat. Was we had a mop gear on. I had my mask. I was driving. My gunner had a mask on. The LT had a mask on, and they started doing an M256 kit inside the tank, and it came out clear. So when it came out clear, then we took off the mask and was able to go forward to fight the enemy. So I doing, brother Jaime. So as we're going, I remember my gunner. He was uh he was real good. He seen the first tank that we spotted was in defilade mode. Defilade mode means like if the flat is a ground. No, if this was a ground, the tank would be like this, right? Deflate mode means that the tank is dug in the ground and you only can see part of the tank. So the first target that my gunner shot at was in deflate mode, which was underground. It was a ridge, and they were dug in the ground, like where they had built a hole and they were dug in, so you can only see the turret of the tank of the T-72. The first target that we shot at that he identified was 3,300 meters, which is a very long distance. I remember when he fired the round, he shot it with I believe a saber round. Saber round. You could only see like if you light up a lighter, 3,300 meters. When you light up a lighter, it looks like a lighter being lit up because that's how small it looks because it's a very long distance. He lased on it and shot at it and blew it up, destroyed that tank. And then there was another one he shot at. After we shot like two tanks, then everybody else started IDing other vehicles that were out there. So that's when we started fighting against the Medina Republican Guard. We were going up the ridge. They were dug in looking down at us. So they had the advantage. We were going uphill. They were the uphill. But our tanks could shoot further. So our game plan was to stay away from the range kill, right? Since we could shoot further, we left a gap in between there. I remember as we're fighting, right, where the rounds of the enemy that shoot from at us, the T-72s, where the rounds coming straight towards our tank, and then he just lands in the sand in front of me, like 700 feet away from me. He just lands in the sand where it loses velocity. So we're driving and we're fighting. I'm driving forward, trying to keep and I'm looking because there's a lot of smoke from the burning tanks, and we had already destroyed a lot of tanks, and there's smoke. Then from our on our freaking left flank where there's some burning tanks because we kept on moving forward. Uh, the wedge that started closing up started shooting to our flank, like, and the bullets were getting close to us. And I called a since I was in a lieutenant's tank, I called a ceasefire from the left flank because it seemed like to me that they were trying to shoot us, like friendly fire. And it can be very confusing in a combat environment when there's so much smoke that you only see uh, that if you're not able to identify what you're shooting at, most likely you can get a friendly fire. So we're getting friendly fire from our left flank, and I called it because I was in a lieutenant's tank. I said friendly fire from the left flank, and I guess higher commanded them to stop firing from the left flank. Uh, there was a time frame where I was going forward. There was a burning tank, and behind the burning tank was another tank, a T-72. The T-72s were like manual, that they had to raise a gun tube up to load. Then the gun tube would have to go all the way down, then back up to shoot. So I seen the gun tube going all the way up. Then the gun tube started coming down low. My gunner couldn't see it because of all the smoke from the burning tanks. And as it was coming down, I was telling him it's coming down. So what I told him to put the gun tube in the center, and I traversed it manually through bird's eye view. I aimed it directly at the tank. When it started going down, I said, "Hey, you need to shoot. It's going down. It's going down. It's coming up. It's coming up." And he shot at it and blew it up. But if I wouldn't have guided him that way, or just for him to trust in me to shoot, then most likely that tank would have hit us. But I placed the front of my tank towards it because that's the strongest part of the tank, right? But that close of a range, it could have still hurt us or killed us, should I say? But he took care of it. After that, we still kept on going forward. We're coming forward and started seeing people coming out of the ground, out of underground bunkers, or what people call foxholes, also underground bunkers, where people are coming out. Where they got uh, grenade launchers, they got AK-47s, and they're shooting at us. Uh, we're not even facing tanks no more because we're just facing the people that are coming out of the ground like snakes. I remember there was one that came out of the ground moving like a snake. I mean, like literally sliding like a snake. He stands out of the ground, and this was a freaked out moment for me. This after we already destroyed some T-72s. or Medina Republican Guard, and we're destroying them. Uh, that this guy that he leaped, I swear, he leaped like 10 to 12 feet. Boom! He landed on top of my tank, right there on the front slope. He jumped on top of my tank. He didn't climb my tank. He leaped without running, just like he had like superhuman strength, right? And he landed on my front slope. He's got an AK-47 in his hand and is looking at me, and he's got a smile on his face. And when he's looking at me, his eyes is what I noticed, like some yellowish eyes, like a glare, yellowish glare in the eyes. When I see this yellowish glare, it only reminds me of one thing, and it's the DDN, disembodied demonic Nephilim. They're called many names in their region. They're most likely they're called the Degen. But that's what I noticed, that he has superhuman strength, and like it wasn't like something else was in there, in that vessel, right? So I'm there, and I got my 9 mil right here on a holster. He grabs he's got the AK-47. He looks up and he's looking at my crew. They can't see him because of all the burning, all the smoke, should I say, right? All the smoke. So he's got an AK-47. Is fixing to point at my crew, and my gun, my 9 mil. I stop the tank, open up the hatch real quick, and I say, "Hey," he looks down. I do what I have to do, right here. Eliminated him. He fell off the tank. I could hear it on the intercom. They're like, "Hey, why y'all slowing down? Why y'all stopping?" They didn't know that there was a guy on the front slope, trying to kill my crew. That he jumped on the tank with superhuman strength. If I would have said something like that, they wouldn't believe me. But I witnessed it, right? So I just kept on going forward, try to catch up. Before we went into combat, our engine got swapped with a company commander's engine. His engine was all jacked up, and he switched it out with my lieutenant's. And our tank had a real good engine because I always took care of it. I always took care of my tank, and so they gave us a messed up engine. So that engine wasn't as a strong engine as we had. Even with them giving us a shitty engine, we're still fighting, right? So we're trying to catch up to everybody that's up in front of us as we're going forward. I notice this this thing that's floating in the air. It's like hovering in the air, and I'm looking at it, not trying to figure out what it is. It's not moving like the smoke. It's not rising. Smoke rises. It's not rising in the sky. It's just hovering. And as I'm driving, I'm paying attention to everything to see, because I got to let my crew know if I see an enemy to the left, because I get the bird's eye view, right? So if there's anything, I'm let them know. If I see somebody coming out of the ground, I ran over a lot of underground obstacles where people were coming out. I ran them over with a tank. So 65 ton in a Foxo is not very good for the people in the holes, right? So I was running over those things where people were trying to come out of the ground. I was running over everything, you know, uh, because I had to protect my crew. Of course, my gunner had already did the damage he had done. My loader was going off. He was using his little 240, taking out people too. My LT was taking out people with his 50 cal, or people with like like the bazooka. It's taking out people with 50 cal. Um, all I remember, this thing that was hovering in the air, brothers and sisters. Let me catch up. Yeah, laser race finder, brother say. All I know is that thing that was hovering. I noticed that there was some people, or should I say, Medina Republican Guard soldiers that had white flags. A white flags a white flag would stand for surrender, right? So they were surrendering. They were surrendering. They didn't want to. I guess they didn't want to fight. They were surrendering, So when they were surrendering, they had the white flags. You know, I seen that thing that was hovering in the air fly in the air and entered the person with the white flag. It entered the person's body, right? As it entered the person's body, the demeanor of the person changed. He dropped the white flag, and you could see those yellowish, glowing eyes, and he had this smirk on his face. He pointed the weapon, the AK-47. He got eliminated, and then he just jumping from person to person, doing the same thing to all the people that are out there. The Medina Republican Guard that are trying to give up. He's jumping from person to person, and people are just getting killed. Should I say, it's combat environment, right? So it's not like and then a surrender don't want to fight, so they get destroyed. Um, they told us to stop. They called air support, I guess, or they told us to turn on the smoke generator. We had a smoke generator. We used that as a wall. So turn on the smoke generator, and we started backing up. The smoke, we're leaving the smoke behind, so the enemy can't see our tanks. As we're backing up, uh, out of the smoke, I see like a lieutenant from their army running, and there's blood squirting out of his arm because his arm had gotten shot off. He was running in his face with fear, and he just passed by the. He was running so fast, he passed by the tank. I guess he was just running in a adrenaline rush, but I don't think he made it. The way the blood was squirting out, he most likely bled to death. Uh, I don't want to get into too much detail, but yeah, there was a lot of gruesome sights, of combat. Many of them suffered a very horrible death. Yes, Sig. Uh, when there's war, that means that if there's war, that means that there is somebody that's going to live and somebody that's going to die. There's a rebel. So when somebody lives and somebody dies, there's got to be something angelic happening. There's got to be something out of the other side of the balance happening, in which it was happening. There was elements out there claiming souls, death reapers. I believe there were degen. Of what I witnessed, there were degen out there taking out people. You know, they're out there claiming souls. So yeah, there was a lot of miraculous things that happened out there uh, in favor of us, brothers and sisters. You know what? Like I said, when you pray and place Heavenly Father first, He makes things happen. I was seeing this video earlier where they're talking about the weather, how the wind was blowing our direction, in which Saddam Hussein could use chemicals on us, but then the wind changed, the direction of the wind changed, blowing their way, uh, and many other things that were happening out there. They said that it seemed like it was God working mysteriously. I believe there was. I seen the video. I need to find the video where there was like dirt devils, like in a formation, flying. Like there were, it could have been the degen. I don't know. I need to find that video and take screenshots of this. Man, I looked freaked out. Kind of looked like what I witnessed out there. So if I can get to that video and find it, I'm gonna take a screenshot out of it so y'all can see what I'm talking about. But the thing about the dirt devil, they were standing like in a formation. They were on the ground though. The one I seen was in the air, and it looked different. It was color black. It wasn't the color like of sand. It was color black. So that was a difference of what I witnessed compared to what I seen in the video. Yes. So, man, I can talk about it. Then after the war, we had to stay in place in the location that we last fought, which we moved to where the enemy was. So all the burning tanks were around us where we're located. We stood there for about 5 days in that location. Some of the things that happened, uh, you could hear moanings. The first day, you could hear moanings and stuff like that, like if there were still people alive, or whether there were spirits or they were injured. I don't know, but you could hear moanings in the air or in the like something wasn't right. But then after a couple of nights there in place, we start hearing dogs where the dogs are eating the casualties. They're eating body parts. You can hear them eating at nighttime, uh, fighting with each other for stuff like that. In which one of those dogs tried to attack me because he see me as food, and he came at me, and I fought it. He tried to go from a jugular, and I was going to kill it, but I spared his life, and I just beat the crap out of it. It was a big dog. Uh, but then my first I wanted to find out what was going on. I told him what happened. So they put a ordinance to kill all the animals that were out there because they had already eaten human flesh. So they killed all the dogs that were out there. The company commander ordered for all the dogs to be killed. Just the wind, like a wind. It's like a little tornado, but it's like made out of wind. But the ones that they had out there was looked pretty crazy, man. I need to find that video to show you. But yeah, I was in a location where a lot of things like that were happening. That the dogs were, you could hear them, and I was there where I could see the silhouettes of the dead bodies on the ground, but because we were there in place, I was just glad when they moved us back from that location. Uh, but after that, they moved us back. When they crossed back the desert, when we were going back across the desert to go back to Kuwait, right? Well, we was in Kuwait already because our job was just to liberate Kuwait. So in the battle, we got to a point where we're on top of the ridge, of Medinah Ridge, right? We're on top of the ridge, and all the remainder of the Medina Republican Guard and other guards that are behind them, facing the other way, we got them backed up. We surrounded them, so we could have easily. We already ready to engage on them, but they had a ceasefire from Bush, President Bush at the time. They had a ceasefire for us not to shoot, to ceasefire. That the enemy, I guess, surrendered or something. So we got to see a couple of tanks cross back across the border. But our army at that time was very big, very strong. We destroyed the Medina Republican Guard, the blue something Surf. I can't remember. I got to look at my Arcom. The blue. I can't remember the name of it. It was like two or three. We went to three different lines of defense, and we destroyed all three lines of defense that they had. We eliminated every single one of them. So they were known to be the best of the best, but then they ran into us, which we eliminated the best of the best. But all through Jesus Christ. Yeah, it was in all those sections, Sig. Well, you were there too, brother. They had that. There's one that was called. What was it called? We had the highway of death. I think that was called. There was nothing but dead, like burned vehicles and tanks and all kinds of things on the highway. They would call it the highway of death because when you passed through it, it smelled like death. Because of all the dead bodies that were there. It was pretty crazy. Like the scenery. So I just want to talk. I just wanted to make this video, and I remember we came back. When we came back, or freaking remember I told you we had a shitty engine, or that engine gave out. So everybody made it back to the destination, and we had to stay back in the middle of nowhere. So I was seeing convoy after convoy passing us by. Some would drop, leave us MREs and waters. We had to wait there for about 2 days. Even a helicopter came by, dropped something for us. You know, waited there for about 2 days before the mechanics came to get us because the pack of the engine that we had gave out. I'm just glad that engine did not give out in the middle of the battle, but it gave out afterwards. So the way we made it back is we got told to make it back to the Alpha Alpha, where by then I guess they had tents set up and all kinds of things set up. So we got there. That's when we turned in our tanks. They built like a mortar pool, placed the mortar pools there. We was working on the tanks, and then they built another little tent city there, and we just waited. We waited for them to let us know when we were going to come back to the States. Yeah, that what do you call it? The one that comes and goes that the airplane that comes down like that on the targets. Man, I seen that firsthand, man. Imagine I was like, I could see everything. I was the driver, so I had plain view of when this we're fighting. Like it's like being at the movies, man. But a little bit different than movies. I forgot to mention that when I opened my driver's hatch to shoot uh, the guy with the AK-47, that I was getting gunfire from everywhere. They were trying to take me out. There was bullets ricocheting on the front slope, on top of me in the turret. Was weird. I could see the sparks all around me. Then I ducked back down, but none of those bullets hit me. I didn't even get scratched by one of the bullets, which seemed like I was being protected by the Heavenly Father, because I could see him flying all around me, but not one bullet touched me. That's why I'll tell everybody here, whoever has faith, that prayer is very important. The Heavenly Father will protect you in a combat environment, just like He protected me and my brother in arms. Yeah, the Warhog, the A10, man, that's freaking vicious. This is after we had already fought and everything. I guess there was another target somewhere further out, and I seen the Warhog drop it on him, man. Destroyed something that was further up ahead. You know, to my understanding, that I talked to some other people that were the air support. I met somebody that was there with us that was air support. He said that if we would have gone like another, I'm assuming like another. He said if we would have gone further up, like another 50 to 60 yards, that there was a big old underground obstacle up there in the that it was under the sand. That if our tanks would have gone any further up, that something dealing with an underground obstacle. You know, that's what he said. I don't know if it's true or not because I didn't run into it. So the only thing is a say so there, because I didn't witness it. But they did have underground motor pools in the sand, and of course, there's underground bunkers that I'm speaking of, where they're coming out of the ground like snakes. You know, and the sand over there, that by itself is when there's a sandstorm. And sandstorms are high in the sky. They come at you, and you can't see nothing. You're gonna put on the goggles and face masks to block the sand going into your nasal passageway. It's their environment, so we had to go into their environment and take it to them in their own environment, which we really had never trained in that kind of environment. Not now, afterwards, since we got, I think I went afterwards in 90, 95. I went back in 95, cross attached to an infantry unit. Uh, I was with Alpha 212 Cav. Uh, I think with his 1 5 Cav, and we got cross attached to him. I went back in 95 also. So it became like an area where we were doing rotations. We go guard the borders to make sure they wouldn't cross back. So it took them many years, right? Like almost 20 years before they finally did something, which became like urban warfare, which was a different war, which was a new Iraq war. I was already out of the military. I tried to go back in, but they wouldn't allow me because of the conditions that I had. But my brother-in-law, he joined, and he was involved in all these Iraqi wars and stuff like that. That's right, Sig. Uh, can't forget about the Djinn. That's what I witnessed out there. That right there was when I knew that it was a spiritual war. It turned out to be like a spiritual warfare, brothers and sisters, because it was between the balance of good and evil. There was some evil things out there, and since we went up to pray, we prayed for the Heavenly Father to guard us. Whatever principalities was in charge out there couldn't attack us because we had prayed. So the only things he could attack was the Medina Republican Guard. You know, whatever they believe in, I don't know, but I seen it attack them. Maybe they were relying to use the Djinn, or maybe they might have summoned some Djinn to fight for them, just like I prayed to the Heavenly Father to protect us. Maybe they prayed upon something else to protect them, but when you call the Heavenly Father, that's a number one protection right there, and just thank God that we're here. And I ain't even shared the pictures. Let me see what time it is right now, brothers and sisters. I think me and cousin Jesse might do a live like around 11:30. Let me share the pictures. I've just been talking, so let me go to the pictures. All right. Let me share some pictures with y'all. Here we go. Oh, that's not what I wanted to share. Okay, here we go. Let me share the pictures. I promised y'all some pictures, so let me share some of these pictures. Let me see. How you doing, Sister Jackie Hall? Wait one real quick. Okay. Let me share these pictures with y'all real quick. Let me see if y'all can see me. There we go. Think of this 34 years since the day of the Battle of Medina Ridge, which today is that day, brothers and sisters. At 12 o'clock, it'll be over. So I'm just gonna share with y'all. Here I am, probably weighing like 155 pounds. 100, or not? Yeah, I was skinny. I said like 155 pounds. You see right here, I got my 9 mil right here. I had a chest harness, and I kept that on my chest. As you can see, we still had our military BDUs on our camouflage. We didn't have no desert color BDU desert camouflage BDUs out there. We were still in our green, so they could see us from a mile away coming. But we're still in green. But the only thing that was same color was a tank. So let me go on to the next picture. Here is when we made it back. They gave us one set of BDUs that they put our name tags on and everything. Uh, this after the war. They give this afterwards to put on. So when we got on the plane to go back to the States or to Germany, to Europe, yeah, we lost a lot of weight out there. That's me right here, by the way. This is my brother uh, Bolton. There's Gabi. Here's what's his name? It's brother Chase, Hurd, Grimes, McGowan, Shields. Jones. All right, let me go on to the next picture. That's me right here. It's an old picture. This is after the war right here. You see, or is a tanker suit. It's colored green. It's after the war. There's a flag. This one we're still standing out there in the front lines. After the war, I was there visiting this tank here. That's me right here. This is what's his name? It's oof, trying to remember their names. It's been a long time. So let me go on to the next one. Here's me. I got my mop gear on here. Uh, this is brother Dana or Daddy. This Sergeant Pont and LT, my lieutenant that was out there with us. Lieutenant Shelton, the third. This is after the war. As you can see, he's the only one that had anything camouflage. The LT. But we all had our OD green stuff on. No, all of us. So let's go on to the next picture. He's going across the desert. We got the tank, like there's the lead tank. There's tanks up here in the front. So one the gun to the left, or we go to the right. That's how we travel. Let me see what else we got here. There we are. Like here, our camouflage was still camouflage green. The only thing we had desert color was this, and the boots that they're giving us. I'm trying to see where I'm standing here. I'm thinking. Let me see. Oh, I think I don't know where I'm at here in this picture. To tell you the truth. If I'm even in the picture, I believe I am somewhere over here in this other row in the back. I don't know if that's me or not. Okay, let's go on to the next one. There's another one like the other one, but my hands are down. You can see my 9mm here. See, you got a 9mm there also. There's one thing about the military, brothers and sisters. If you have a weapon assigned to you, got to keep it at all you on you at all times. So I had it on. He had it on. I think he might have had his underneath his, and the LT had his on his hip somewhere. But that's me right here. As you can tell, I'm the only Hispanic here. You see, we're a mixture of people here, nationalities. There's me again here, doing a little peekaboo. You're going to see uh, my looking, because I didn't trust nobody, brothers and sisters. Just like this picture here. Look, this picture, I don't trust nobody because I had what I have been through. So let me go back to that one. I think I shared that one already. Here's one before we even got deployed. My company commander was cutting my hair. He cut all my hair off. Here's me. It's before we even went to go fight. Before we traveled across we were set up in the Alpha, but I had done service on the tank, and there's a scorpion here. I got a scorpion in my hand. So there I am right here, 19 years old. Let's see. See, Delta 3-1, 50 cal. That's Delta 3-1. That's the name of my tank. And here we are again. Delta 3-1. 135 armor. You got this patch here to so if somebody's trying to shoot, right, so people can know that it's friendly, right? Then of course he's got something in English. Death Angel was the name of our tank, and he's got this thing so people could recognize the symbols on the tanks, so there won't be no friendly fire. Even in the sides of the tank, we had markers to so people could identify we were friendly. Here we are, Delta 3-1. This is when we're facing the enemy. This one, I believe, yeah. See all the choppers flying over us? They were in line with us also. Delta 3-1. Okay. Let me see where I'm at. I already seen that one. Here's an old picture here where we took a picture by a T-72. A T-72 tank. Was it? So in this picture, I'm right here. I lost a lot of weight, brothers and sisters. We all lost a weight. That's my loader right here. This is after the war. Everybody in the crew had lost weight. When you're out there fighting, you're not eating right. I mean, you're eating, but not eating how you're supposed to. The sun was hot as hell. There's my LT. That's my brother, my gunner. That's me right here. And that's my loader. Brother Dana, Mr. Boucher. Right here. We all made it back in one piece, brothers and sisters. And this is me afterwards. No, that's not me afterwards. This is me. This is me when I first got in Germany, before I knew what was going to happen, and this is me afterwards. After this is me when I came. I was already back from combat, I think. Yeah, and I was getting ready to go back to the States, or they were gonna send me a leave. There's my address screens here. All right, boom, and let me go back to y'all. Let me try to catch up to the comments, y'all. Let me catch up to this comments real quick. I feel a little bit better that I was able to speak about this, because it's been been on me for a while, for this month. And I just want to say thank you for those that tuned in tonight, that took the time to come listen to me. There's something that that happen. But it's like yesterday. When you experience something like this, it never leaves you. It's with you. You got that memory of it. Some people say, "Oh, you got flashbacks," or it's a form of PTSD. I mean, golly, what do you expect? It's not like I was out there roasting marshmallows or going to a freaking sleepover. Let me catch up. Is that in saying that, brother and sisters? Let me see. Let me catch up to the comments. That's right, brother. Yeah, I know we were outnumbered 7 to. We're at number 7 to 1 of our tanks, man. Something like that. The odds were against us. There you go, brothers and sisters. He knows. Uh, we were the spearhead. Yes, he says you guys were the spearhead. Though those Iraq tanks had to be dealt with. Saddam had lots of tanks. Yeah, they had lots of tanks. We we used all the rounds that we had, and then we uploaded rounds. I forgot to mention that. That we expended all our ammo fighting. We moved our tank back, or platoon came back, and then I think it was Charlie Company went forward. They started fighting, and the ammo guy came, and we started uploading rounds again to continue to fight. So those people right there, it wouldn't be for the support, then if support is not there to give us ammo, how are we going to fight? If the mechanics are not there to fix our tanks, how is the tank going to run? If the cooks are not there in the back preparing us a meal to eat, how are we going to be fed, right? So it takes for everybody to do their job to accomplish a mission. So my hats off to all my brother in arms that were out there supporting us, the support and everything. Everything needs to happen in order for a campaign to be successful. Good night, Sister Monica Davis. I guess you're gonna miss tonight's live because me and cousin Jesse are gonna go live after I finish this live. We're gonna go live here on Spiritual Encrypted Encounters. Let me see what time is it right now. I'm gonna take a little break. Yeah, that's right, brother Jaime. I was ready, man. When I joined the army, I would train every day. Every day, I would run 20 miles a day, man. I was a long distance runner. I wouldn't just train; I would lift weights, just in case, because when you go to war, you don't know what you're going to deal with. If what you train is, with a tank to accomplish, or you have to do hand to hand, you have to be ready for anything. But I just thank God that all my brother in arms came back, and that we all made it back in one piece, and we're here. It's just time has passed us by real big time. It's been 34 freaking years. But in saying that, brothers and sisters, thank you for joining here, tuning into the Battle of Medina Ridge. 34 years has gone by. Today was the day that we had gone to battle, uh, 34 years ago. To all my brother in arms that are still alive, uh, just like I had your back then, I still got your back now. If you're going through anything that you need somebody to talk to, contact me, man. I'm here. Just like I was in, I'm still here. I haven't gone nowhere. And vice versa, if I'm going through something, I will contact you, right? If I'm going through something in which, things can happen in that nature with what we've seen, what we've done, and what we experienced. In saying that, brothers and sisters, uh, I will be on in 5 minutes. Let me take a quick break. Like in 5 minutes, we will have another show dealing with. I think I was going to show something with cousin Jesse, but let me take a little break. Again, thank y'all that tuned in tonight. God bless all of y'all. Hit the like button, subscribe button. Uh, Brother in arms, I love y'all, man. I'm here for y'all. Y'all need anything or need to talk, I'm here for y'all. You're welcome, sister. In saying that, brothers and sisters, thank you. Good night for those that are going to go to sleep. But for those who are not asleep, give me 5 to 10 minutes, and we'll be right back on with cousin Jesse. And if y'all want to talk more a little bit about this, if you join, I'll answer some questions. In saying that, thank you, and whoever's going to join, I'll see you in 5 10 minutes. And whoever's not going to join, good night, everybody. Thank you for the support, and I'm feeling a lot better right now that I was able to share this with you. This is Brother Apsia signing off from the Battle of Medina Ridge, 34 years. Iron Knights.